why I want to introduce the next team. Rani Rajji, Mounzer, Steve Aid, Pascale Hares. Architects, urban planners, designers. They have created a series of ideas, including a space where ideas like these could be developed and made real. Here they are. And not to forget Joost, Janmaat, Partizan.
Okay, I may specify first that all the projects that we'll be presenting today are also available in the magazine that's been distributed in a more elaborate way. We're going to present the projects as a fixed idea that we can actually discuss later on during the dinner. Okay. In November 2006, a group of Dutch foundations took the initiative to visit Lebanon. Together with a group of Lebanese architects and artists, we visited devastated areas in what it seems to be war tourism. What made it different was a debate held in the last days of the visit, in which many issues and projects were discussed. The concept kept on developing on the blog and led to the projects we will be presenting. In a country segregated into communities after a long civil war, passing from one crossroad to another, it was only natural to focus on finding a common ground that can unite Lebanese on the same vision. Failing to do so, the first step in building a common ground starts with providing common spaces. Spaces that are linked by the fact that they initiate and promote discussions and use different media to interest a diverse public. The projects are an attempt to deal with the function of public space, whether physical or non-physical, and its role and responsibility towards society. They present themselves as a third choice and a platform of choices. They vary from spaces that you can visit to spaces that will hunt you down. What we are asking is not only your financial support, but also a collaboration and a build-up effort and involvement leading to the development of these projects and ultimately their execution. It was in 1920 and under the French mandate that the final boundaries of Lebanon were created. It resulted in a country similar to a cheese fondue, cooked in cold water, a melting pot that didn't really melt. We hope that Pearls for Lebanon will be a step that adds a bit of hot water to the melting pot. Our menu includes 1. A magazine, website, or noise. 2. Studio Beirut, a physical common space. 3. Think tank or street blog. 4. Bus, if you don't come to the public space will come to you. 5. Logement chez l'habitat and hostel. And finally, a podcast, Voice over Beirut. They will be presented following a time frame based on priorities and feasibility of each project. The first project we'll be discussing will be the magazine. All projects aim at working as a think tank and communication tool between different cultural communities. They propose a platform to discuss conflict and express different point of views regarding critical issues. A magazine and a website are the first step in our project. They will help us cover a broad audience, a local and international one. Using art and culture as tools to approach social issues, this platform intends to open the eyes of the public to subjects they thought were out of their influence. It's an interactive forum, a space where people share ideas. Together with the Dutch team and building on their know-how, we already have managed the infrastructure of the project, including the content, layouts, and publishing facilities, making the final product a collaboration between different parties. Noise, or dajja in Arabic, is the name we are proposing, a bilingual English-Arabic quarterly issued magazine with a frequently updated website and blog. This project will address the cultural scene in Lebanon, connecting it to an international audience and to international forums. It's a space for research on architectural, social, and cultural subjects, a medium from where projects and contests can be launched, and a close collaboration with universities and professionals. The magazine, issued in Lebanon at the first stage, will be covering the Middle East with Arab and international participants contributing in a wider range of subjects and the relation with the rest of the world. The noise will be heard and read. To present Studio Beirut, Steve.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about a space that we have worked on in the past few years. It was treated as a public space. This place that I'm going to present is meant to be simply a common space. While you are all here in the Balie, we don't have the opportunity of having such spaces in Lebanon, since they are all have connotations or they are two different groups. So simply neutral ground does not exist, even for debate or dialogue. So I'm going to present to you the space. The space that we used to go to, which is the Janmaat house, what is known as the Janmaat house, is a feel-like-home space where you can go and just, where we would have parties, exhibitions, movie making, plays rehearsal. So a place for everybody, it's kind of an infrastructure for them where they can go and meet. Now, the unexpected frequentation that we met by this space, just by existing, there were a lot of people, Lebanese and foreigners, which came to this place and interacted. This experience made us also see the need for such spaces where amateurs and freshly graduate could meet and talk about, because as it has been said, mainly students, they work on their projects and that's where it stopped. There's no continuity of the projects. They see it and they start a whole different thing. I'm going to talk about some of the events. There was, for example, the exchange party, an international day of peace in Khiam in the south, and the Beirut Unbuilt. And shortly after the Beirut Unbuilt, we made an exhibition, which is the Come Home exhibition. Of course, of what the program will be composed of, we've divided the program, as we are thinking now, into two main sections. The first section is a fixed program in a centralized space, which is going to be Studio Beirut. It has all the components of a common space, like a lounge, a library. I'm sure you're all familiar with these functions, and the events, which are going to help to spread the word across the city. So we will have centralized event in Studio Beirut, which will help the meeting of people, and other events all around the country, which will help other people also see different parts of the country as well. So if you don't know, Beirut is famous in the region for its clubs, for its festivals, for its galleries. However, all these places and venues have an exclusive kind of connotation. They are not accessible for everybody. What we are trying to do in Studio Beirut is a place in the city where there is no personal or financial target. It's, of course, located in Beirut. And all events, as I said before, will be dispersed in the rest of the Lebanese territory. Through the media it uses, Beirut Studio, the magazine, and the different projects you're going to see later, Studio Beirut will have to cover other parts, probably in the Middle East. Issues and developments in the wider region will be addressed in the studio, and formats and media will be exported to the surrounding countries. As stated earlier, Studio Beirut in its simpler form is a common space dealing with uncommon issues. As such, it will not only affect Beirut, but also Lebanon and the wider region. So that has been... That's what we hope, at least. I will also present another tool we are using to spread, because all the projects we are doing are tools to help people meet with each other, or to present to them solutions they don't know about, or they don't think that it's solvable. The think tank or the street blog is an urban furniture. All Europeans are familiar with this, but we don't have it for some reason. Chaos and chaotic polluting posting walls on all over the cities. The street blog contributes in claiming the sidewalks as a common public space and investing these spaces as an area for discussion and promoting various cultural activities. Now, the difference between the structure we are proposing and this is that our structure is send and receive, which means it has a section in it in which it addresses the people. It addresses the people on the street with questions of relevance or no. These questions are answered in a suggestion box in a Studio Beirut section on a part of the structure. This structure will be distributed across the country, as many as possible. They will be distributed in strategic places, in public squares, in cinemas, in front of frequented places. And we are thinking of them as thinking out loud, because each project also reaches for a kind of target: the magazine for university people, the studio for youngsters and amateurs, and this element will reach out to the streets and to the whole people. The think tank is an opportunity to introduce an urban element that serves multiple purposes and boosting the communication between citizens. Collecting a sincere vision, the participant will remain anonymous. The number of stands produced can increase to cover wider regions and different cities and become a referendum structure on a national level. Thank you. Now Rani will present to you the BOSS project and the hostel. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm here to present a moving platform, namely the BOSS. If you don't come to the public space will come to you. This is the motto for this section. Growing up as a child in Lebanon brings you in close contact with the evil stranger myth. The irony is that in Lebanon, the scary stranger is most of the time your neighbor. Years of bigotry have enforced this fear, transforming the land into small territorial spots, more or less homogeneous ethnically or religiously. Making the center of Beirut a leisure spa for the rich and famous, have deprived Lebanon of the only common platform for multi-communal fusioning. The bus is a platform, a mobile one, that will carry common elements of an instant public space into the regional differences to other areas and expose them in a way that will create interference and will dissolve the resident fears. The program will attract the largest number of people by proposing performing acts, deployable urban furniture, lighting, a public WC, free food, an exchange library, sports equipment, etc. The problem is not the lack of space in itself. It's not only the lack of space in itself. It is more in the way it is misused or unused. The bus's message is loud and clear. If you don't come to the public space will come to you. Moreover, Studio Beirut proposes a more in-depth exploration and incursion by providing and facilitating two sorts of public accommodations. The logement chez l'habitant, or lodging with the residents, is the rural variant that will be linked with institutions already proposing this option, and the urban variant, which is the hostel. Of all the schemes that you might think about for helping Lebanon, a hostel might seem like the most preposterous one. This is where you're terribly wrong. Changing travel trends are as apparent in Lebanon as anywhere else in the world, namely the rise of budget airlines, the internet, and the growth of independent travel. Undoubtedly, Lebanon can be a popular destination for backpackers because of its geographical, climatic, social, and cultural assets, which offers sun, sea, ski, unique ancient archaeological layering, beautiful people, good food, a lively night scene, and easy travel to the more traditional Arabic hinterland. The backpackers, being trendsetters in their home countries, can help promoting Lebanon through word of mouth and the internet mass communication tools. Moreover, backpackers are generally high educated and will attract a local young population who will start using the hostels and public facilities as a place for real contact with the outside world, whilst the backpackers themselves will slowly set up an emotional shield by the high level of awareness that they will suscitate about Lebanon. A city like Istanbul or Bangkok can never be bombed, partly because many people have been there and have memory in that place. We want Beirut to have its share of this awareness. We also want the hostel, together with Studio Beirut, to catalyze urban awareness of the city by offering a series of services, including walking tours. Joost will introduce you to one of these scenarios.
Actually, the project I'm about to tell you more about is the one of the few projects. Oh, there are more, but the first project now that is actually already taking shape. The Prince Claus Fund, who's already also in this room, made a contribution which enabled us to already give you a glimpse of what we are hinting at here. We call it Voice over Beirut. Visitors to Beirut risk a trip solely into the spectacular. This was something Tony reminded us of when we were in Beirut last November. Apart from the Corniche, the seaside boulevard, there are very few landmarks in the city. So for many people newly visiting the city, the places that you visit usually are places associated with the war. The Moor and Holiday Inn towers, the Barakat building, the Green Line dividing the city during the war, and the Sabra and Shatila memorial site in the Palestinian camps. Many of these very obvious entries for many people coming to Beirut penetrate the city from its most vulnerable, raw and dramatic side. The spectacular, however, is the obvious. There's more to the city, and we are working on a website, this is the demo version that we prepared for this evening, that introduces a number of new entries into the city, places and spaces of inductive urban myth, seductive memories and provoking thoughts. We welcome first-time visitors to Beirut and residents alike to dig into Beirut. Because with Beirut we deal with a city which is rich and dramatic in history and has an amazingly rich intellectual and cultural life. And it's exactly these two assets that we want to build upon in suggesting new anchorages in the city. Apart from the spectacular, the destroyed buildings, we would like to present new reference points in the city. The first we made actually is an audio tour we did with Tony the last time we were there in November. It's called A Catastrophic Space. You heard a small section of it in the previous meeting. It welcomes you to this neighborhood, which is just off Sassine Square in Ashrafia, east from Beirut. And wandering through the area with Tony, through the audio segment on the side, you can join us in this tour and get introduced to the area, to the hill, but also to notions of the porous city and catastrophic space. So this is an area which you wouldn't normally visit. There's nothing there, really, for the people who don't know. There's nothing there which attracts your attention on the map, if you look at the map. By means of the audio tour, however, we make it into an interesting city or an interesting place to visit. And by means of a rich reference system on the site, we give more background info on the topography on the references Tony made in his tour towards literature, art, ideas, authors. This is only a very first demo we could make, but obviously the site should encompass of a whole variety of new entries into the city. This is the first, but tour by tour, we would like new visitors to the city to really dig into Beirut and let not the silent, destroyed buildings be your entry into the city, but the stories and thoughts of the extraordinary people that live there, like Tony. So, I guess this pretty much rounds up our part of the menu. We will vacate this floor quickly and make room for the rest.